Oasis' third album, Be Here Now, was a moment in British music history where everything felt like it was about to burst. It's 1997, Oasis are the biggest band in the country. They'd headlined Nebworth Festival to 250,000 people across 2 nights, and there was no higher mountain left to climb. And maybe that was exactly the problem, because in August 1997, Oasis released Be Here Now, an album that would sell over 400,000 copies in its first week in the UK, becoming the fastest selling album in British history at the time. And yet, within months, the narrative changed. So what actually happened? Before we get into it, if you love Oasis and Britpop and talking about nostalgic rock music, please subscribe for more video essays and videos just like this. By the time they started recording Be Here Now, Liam and Noel Gallagher were operating on pure confidence. They were just so certain of themselves. Noel has openly admitted in later interviews that he thought they could do no wrong, that whatever they put out would be hailed as genius. The band weren't chasing greatness anymore, they believed they already were greatness. And culturally, they were. Post Nebworth, Oasis weren't just a band, they were the embodiment of cool Britannia. Tony Blair invited them to Downing Street, they were on every front page. And there was no resistance left, no underdog energy, no hunger. And the hunger is what made Definitely Maybe and What's the Story Morning Glory so electric.
I wasn't wary or aware that I was following up one of the biggest albums of all time. Wouldn't have dawned on me that maybe going on holiday or maybe writing this album in shorts is maybe not the best approach. In hindsight now, looking at the contrast of finishing off that album there when you're doing the other two in the boardwalk in Manchester in the rain, is it's quite telling, I think, for me.
Right, and do you think it coloured the end result then, the fact of where you...
Yeah, because I had a fucking good holiday.
Yeah.
So the holiday didn't suffer.
Recording began in late 1996 at Abbey Road and later at Ridge Farm Studios. By Noel's own admission, cocaine was everywhere. Just everywhere. He has said he barely remembers part of the recording process, and decisions were being made in a haze of excess and chaos. The songs immediately became longer, louder, denser. Where Morning Glory had discipline and innocence, Be Here Now had indulgence. Multiple guitar overdubs stacked endlessly. Songs stretching past 7 minutes because no one was telling Noel to maybe trim that, and he probably would have said no anyway.
I was like, someone was going, it's a bit long, and I was going, it's not long enough, you know. And I guess if you just sold 12 million albums and, you know, your own creation, no one, not their ethos is the artist is always right, you know.
And you were, and you did it.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't say it was right though. I can't listen to fucking any of that album.
Well,
it's just too long. And then, you know, a month later it finishes, and everyone's like, "Is there going to be an edit?" No. It's not long enough, you know.
The lead single, Do You Know What I Mean, was released in July 1997. It debuted at number 1. The video was cinematic and unforgettable. Helicopters, monumental scale, it felt enormous. The song was layered, heavy, almost suffocating in production. Exciting, yes, but bloated. But still, anticipation for the album was insane. The press initially gave the album near perfect reviews at the time, which people forget. 5 stars across the board. There was a sense that the country wanted it to be brilliant, and for a week or so, it was. What a joyful week for Oasis fans before the bubble burst.
I look back on it as really a real missed opportunity. Look, everybody in the fucking world said to me about the master plan, why are you putting it as a B-side? And I was like, because they asked me to write a B-side and that's what I've wrote. It didn't occur to me that, what are these other songs, you know? What are these other songs that you've got that might be not as good? But no one had heard the other songs. They were taking my word for it, that, oh, these ones are better though.
The songs themselves I go back and forth on. It's obviously not as good as the best of Oasis, but I do enjoy the album. But I can completely understand people rethinking it. The length was insane. Do You Know What I Mean was over 7 minutes long. Magic Pie stretches close to 8 minutes. All Around the World was an epic that was already written but needed to be trimmed down for sure. Songs like My Big Mouth encapsulated the arrogance that I've talked about earlier in this video. a mindless rock number which was basically just in your face for the sake of it. Stand By Me though is one of their strongest ballads. Don't Go Away is a vulnerable, fantastic song. So the issue wasn't that there were no good songs, it was that everything was turned up to 11. Length, volume, ego, expectation, everything.
At that time, we thought it was fucking great, and I still think it's great. It just wasn't Morning Glory, and I'm sick of these people going on about definitely maybe. Fuck definitely maybe. It's over, you know. Fuck Morning Glory, it's over.
Around them, something happened. Culture shifted. By early 1998, just like that, Britpop's dominance was fading. The optimism of late 90s Britain felt less certain. Bands like Radiohead were releasing albums that were darker, more introspective and more forward-thinking, and suddenly Oasis weren't what they were. And when the dust settled, critics began reassessing Be Here Now. Perhaps unfairly, because the same press that had lauded it started quietly backing away. Noel Gallagher started to talk very, very harshly about the album, and everyone's mind seemed to change, even the band themselves. Here's the factual truth about Be Here Now. It sold massively, it debuted at number 1, it produced multiple hit singles, it's got great songs on there, it wasn't a commercial failure. But the expectation and the chaos was probably what failed it. Oasis had set a standard with What's the Story Morning Glory that defined a generation. Anything less than cultural domination felt like decline. But Be Here Now wasn't the fall of a band that were bad, it was just the moment that the bubble burst. I still listen to Be Here Now and really enjoy it, but you have to look at it in the context of the Oasis journey. It's still such a fascinating album to look back on, and please let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this iconic, excess, crazy event that was Oasis Be Here Now.